It's a matchup we wait for every single year on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. And on April 1st, there's no joke. This is going to be a great game. It's the Kingsway Dragons visiting the Gloucester Catholic Rams here from Joe Barth Field in Brooklawn. Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Fred Swartz, joining us as a guest commentator for a handful of games this season. Fred is a longtime voice at Gloucester County College, now Rowan College of South Jersey, and Rowan University, as you represent on your ball cap. But Fred, talking about this game today, these are two teams that, as we mentioned, very familiar with each other, and it's going to be another classic bout between the Dragons and Rams today.
And you are 100% correct. And the biggest thing is, it's such an important game for such an early date in the season, for being April the 1st. But these are two teams. Gloucester Catholic won the state championship in the last 3 years. They're really the gold standard of South Jersey baseball. With Kingsway, they were in the semifinals last year. Group 4, 7 returning position players and pitchers. Couldn't ask for anything better.
And for Gloucester Catholic and Kingsway, these two met on April 2nd last year, basically the same time of the season, and GC picked up a 4-0 win over the Dragons. That was in Woolwich Township. Jackson Smollett pitched a complete game. So as it stands, we're going into this matchup, first home game of the year, first NJSIAA home game of the year for Gloucester Catholic. They played 4 games in the Cary, North Carolina Invitational Tournament down in the Carolinas, and they went 2-2. Then they won yesterday versus the Hun School of Princeton by a score of 7-1. So going back into it now, this is their first divisional game of the year. Kingsway already has one under their belt with a win over GCIT. And for the Dragons, they're starting Jake Mangiafesta tonight.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to see how he does. There's always kind of like an aura around Gloucester Catholic. And when you go there, you know you're going to be in a battle no matter what takes place. And there's always a little intimidation factor that comes around when you play. But Kingsway, with its returning numbers of 7 position players and an excellent coach in Bill Alvaro, they'll be ready to play.
You make a great point, Fred. These two head coaches, they've got over 1,000 wins combined. Bill Alvaro, he should hit the 500 mark this year. He is 17 wins away from 500. Meanwhile, Dennis Barth is at 626 and counting, all of them with Gloucester Catholic. Bill Alvaro's, his was split between Washington Township from 1999 to 2017, and then in his current stint with Kingsway. But for Gloucester Catholic, this team had the lowest ERA in all of South Jersey last year, and they're leading the way with their number 1 starter from last year their lowest ERA starter last year in Jude Morgan, who had a flat 1 ERA.
Yeah, that's going to be a key, because you have so much confidence when you have somebody pitching on the mound that you know is going to keep you in the game no matter what happens.
This is going to be a great one. No better day, no better weather for it. It's almost 83 degrees today. Gloucester Catholic's in their home cream jerseys. Kingsway's in their road black jerseys. I hope they brought a lot of water, because they're going to be hot today. And hopefully the bats are hot too. We've got Tri-County Royal Division Baseball, Gloucester Catholic taking the field now here in Brooklawn. We'll be right back in just a moment on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. Welcome back. Jude Morgan is the starter for Gloucester Catholic, the senior last season. 1.00 ERA. This year, though, 5.6 ERA. He's only got a handful of innings under his belt, but a 5.6 mark, a 1.8 whip, 3 walks, 2 Ks, all of which were in the national tournament that Gloucester Catholic played in over in Cary, North Carolina, as they went 2-2 in that, played teams from coast to coast. And the first pitch of the ball game is a ground ball by Thorpe out to second, picked up by Lockwood, and it's in time. 1 pitch, 1 out for Morgan, and we're underway here on a beautiful Wednesday from Brooklawn.
And I'll tell you what there, Dan, the most important thing is also Gloucester Catholic plays such great defense. They rarely ever beat themselves, and that was shown right off the bat from the start of the game.
It's one thing that's really drilled into them from the first day of practice is defense and the infield, outfield, especially for the outfielders themselves, because here at Joe Barth Field, you've got a lot of room to run. You know, very rarely, if you hit one to center field, there's a chance that you could get an inside the park home run, as that one's fouled back over towards the right side, 1-1.
And Dan,
the batter Taylor.
Dennis Barth is the master of situational baseball, and that's both offensively and defensively. They scout well, and they do everything that's needed to be successful.
1-2 count to Taylor, the shortstop. It's Thorpe, Taylor, and Shields, the right fielder. Nate Bott, the commit to Delaware, bats fourth. As that one's high. Austin Schmidt is the left fielder batting fifth. Ashton Ford at first base batting sixth. A.J. Ward is the catcher in the seventh slot. Christian Finelli in center field batting eighth. And Braden Bell, the designated hitter. This one's poked out towards shallow center field. Going in is Pancoast, and he'll make the catch. 2 down here in the first.
We were talking before, it's kind of like a can of corn to start off the game in there, but there is so much room here. First time for me being in Brooklawn in a lot of years, and that ball can just roll forever in the center left field area.
Yeah, we've seen a handful of out-of-the-park home runs here, whether in American Legion play with the Brooklawn Brookers, or I don't think I've actually ever seen a GC player hit a home run on this field. We saw a handful in the Thank You Classic handful of years ago. Matthew Ferrara, who was drafted by the Phillies, hit one here in 2024. I was on the call for that. And Toms River East played Bayonne, as it'll be a 1-1 count to the right fielder Shields. Kingsway 2-0 to start the year, an 11-5 win over Jackson Township of the Shore Conference. They went over to Jackson for that one as a fastball in the outer half called for a strike. Jackson Township, of course, the merged high school that put together Jackson Memorial and Jackson Liberty and turned Jackson Liberty into a middle school. 2-strike pitch outside.
Actually, Dan, they did the opposite. Liberty's were was the newest of the two schools, so that became the high school, and Jackson Memorial became the middle school.
Good to know. Both massive schools, though, as time is called at the plate. First 3 for Gloucester Catholic. Noah Danza, the commit to Mississippi State, is the shortstop. Jason Bogart hits second in the designated hitter position, and Braden Lipoff, the East Carolina commit, bats third as Morgan picks up the strikeout and retires the side. 3 easy batters for Jude Morgan, who had a 1 flat ERA in his junior season. He's off to a good start in his first start back at home. It'll be Danza leading us off for the Rams in the bottom of the first when we return. Welcome back here from Brooklawn at Joe Barth Field. Pitcher for the Dragons, Jake Mangiafesta, in his 2025 season had 8 2/3 for the Southpaw, 4.85 ERA and a 1.61 WHIP, 5 walks, 10 Ks. For Gloucester Catholic, their lineup is going to be Noah Danza at short. Apologies, don't have the lineup starting graphics working for you today, but Noah Danza is the leadoff man at short. Jason Bogart is a designated hitter, batting second. Braden Lipoff, the the number 3 hitter, headed to East Carolina, batting third. Jude Morgan, the pitcher, bats fourth. Then you've got Henry Pancoast, the Sacred Heart commit. He's in center field, batting fifth. Jack Pund, the multi-sport athlete, bats sixth in left field. Braden Mohan, the first baseman, bats in the 7th slot. Eddie Pinero in the 8th slot in right field. And Santino Chiavato is the third baseman, batting ninth. Ben Lockwood, defense only, as that ball went well outside to Danza in Gloucester Catholic's dugout. Certainly enjoying that one.
And Dan, I think very, very important for Kingsway to try to get through this inning unscathed. I think if Gloucester Catholic gets ahead of you, it becomes a very dangerous situation.
It's a lot harder to play ball when you're even versus when you're down, and when it's GC, it could be even one run that makes the difference, as that one's high, just at the letters.
And again, I said they're so good at situational baseball. They know exactly what they do. It's been ingrained in them. That's why they're so difficult to beat.
24-3 last year, en route to another state championship, as that one missed away. And it'll be 3-1 to Danza. Headed to Mississippi State, along with Guy Lynham headed to Auburn, but he is not in today's lineup. And a very quick reaction to ball 4. Noah Danza saw it right away, and it'll be a 5-pitch walk to put GC with a leadoff base runner. That'll bring up Jason Bogart, younger brother of Joey Bogart, who you would know very well as he plays at Rowan University.
Yeah, he's our second baseman and just does a great job, both sides. I like him because I'm actually taller than him, so that's a good thing. But he is a very, very good player. And again, comes to college ready to play, and that's the most important thing.
Jason Bogart, first pitch from Mangiafesta, popped up. This is over towards the first base line, and it's caught. Great range by A.J. Ward over at first. Brought that one in on the pop-up, and he held the runner there. So there's one away. Pop-up to the first baseman as Bogart's retired, and this will bring up Braden Lipoff. Lipoff, the catcher for Gloucester Catholic, hit over 400 last year as a junior. 5'11", 165, 474 average with 4 home runs this season, 8 for 16. 1 homer in the final game of Gloucester Catholic's appearance in the USA Baseball Invitational in Cary, North Carolina. In that 4-game stretch, Gloucester Catholic played Venice of Florida, which they lost 10-0, Wakefield of North Carolina, and Nolensville of Tennessee, which both of those games they won, and then Aquinas, I believe that's St. Thomas Aquinas of California, that they lost 4-3. Stolen base by Danza, gets into second base.
And immediately puts now a Gloucester Catholic runner in scoring position. And I think that I think the catcher probably was crossed up on that. He's gone out to the mound to talk everything in. But, you know, the other thing, Dan, I really like is Gloucester Catholic doesn't shy away from any games. They play some of the best schedule that I've seen year after year after year, and it only makes you better when the end of the season comes up.
You said it. I mean, they play St. Augustine twice. They play them next Wednesday in the Mid-Atlantic Invitational. Not sure where that game is scheduled for, but they play them in the Saturday nightcap of the Down Beach Coaches versus Cancer Classic in Margate, hosted down there by the mainland folks and the Cape Atlantic folks, which last year it was a great game between St. Augustine and GC. They also play Governor Livingston, which was the #1 team in New Jersey last year. There's a ground ball. Past Taylor into left field. That's a base hit. Danza's rounding third. Throw from the left fielder comes in. A bridge too late, and it's an RBI single for Braden Lipoff before he takes his talents to the purple and gold. It's 1-0 Gloucester Catholic.
And there you go again, Gloucester Catholic doing exactly what they needed to do, advancing on a stolen base, getting that single to left field. They're on top, and that always, always is bad news.
Well, we were here for a game last year between these two teams that was 0-0 in the bottom of the 7th. Gloucester Catholic won it, I think, on a walk-off infield hit. And that's not even the first game that we've seen between these two teams to be scoreless. It's just sometimes it's a defensive battle, and it almost seems rare for a game like this to get runs in the first inning. Usually it takes a really slow start as Ward's going to pick this up on the back pick. The throw, not in time. That will be a backward stolen base there for Lipoff. Tried to get – Manifesta saw the read well. He tried to throw him out down at first, but Ward, he picked that up a little bit low, and Lipoff had all the time in the world that he needed to get down to second base, and he'll put another runner in scoring position for Gloucester Catholic as he faces Jude Morgan, the hitter.
And that's exactly right. He had the pick-off nailed, but the throw was offline, and the second baseman was off the base, and the Gloucester Catholic runner was able to get into that base safely.
Morgan takes a curveball in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Just a beautiful day for baseball. 83 degrees today. Not going to be all that friendly tomorrow, though, with some overnight rain coming, as that one's away.
Oh, no, Dan, I'm ready to play a doubleheader today. What do you think?
I don't know if we're going to have enough sunlight.
That's probably the only reason we couldn't.
We mentioned, though, Gloucester Catholic on Sunday, April 19th, playing Governor Livingston in the North Brunswick, believe it's an autism awareness tournament, as close play at first. I'll say Morgan's retired for out number 2. Does advance the runner.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just about to say, that it advances the runner. It was good base running because the ball's hit the shortstop, so you can't immediately break towards third or you're going to be gunned down there. He waited for the shortstop to make the long throw and was able to get safely into third base. Good job by Braden Lipoff.
So here's Henry Pankos, the commit to Sacred Heart University of the Northeast Conference, as he'll face the left-hander Manifesta. 292 hitter last year, 11 walks, 21 hits, and 11 RBIs. Career 273 hitter, and has had at least 50 at-bats in all 3 of his varsity seasons, including as a freshman. And he's up to 18 at-bats this year. 312 hitter, 5 for 16 with 6 RBIs. Swing and a miss early on the fastball. 0-2 now.
You know, Dan, the portal has so much changed college athletics. So when somebody comes out as a freshman, they're really highly regarded. But the answer could be that all of a sudden a transfer could come in from another school, and it makes it very, very difficult for the freshman.
0-2, outside corner away. No, you're absolutely right. And the college portal is something that has been a point of contention for a lot of coaches. They disagree, you know, some disagree with it, especially in the college basketball world. Guys like Tony, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, University of Virginia, a longtime head coach. Pankos slams one to deep center, but the very hitter-friendly ballpark, very pitcher-friendly ballpark keeps this one at bay. Taken in to retire the side, Gloucester Catholic gets a run home on an RBI single after 1 in Brooklawn. It's the Rams 1 and the Dragons 0. Welcome back here from Joe Barth Field in Brooklawn. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by the legendary Fred Swartz of Rowan University and our producer Javier Harris of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. We've got 4, 5, and 6 for Kingsway after a clean first by Jude Morgan as Bott, the Delaware commit, hits this one to center. Pancoast, another Division I pledge, is there, and he'll make the play for out number 1. That'll bring up Austin Schmidt. So for the second time in as many innings, 1 pitch, 1 out. It's got to be great for Jude Morgan's pitch count.
Oh, it's great for his pitch count and the situation, too. It's also good for the situations because it's always easy when you get the first batter out.
Gloucester Catholic scored 1 in the bottom of the first inning as that ball got away from Lipoff. But, yeah, one of the things that we were talking about, Governor Livingston went 28-0 last year, first public school to go undefeated, first school period to go undefeated since Don Bosco in 2007. And the first public school to go undefeated since, I believe, Pennsville back in the early 80s. I can't remember the year.
It was 1980 with Boo Bennett was the pitcher for Pennsville back then.
Here's a ground ball. Schmidt off the end of the bat. It's Lockwood who gets the throw over. And another quick second out that time for Jude Morgan.
And Dan, you said it right. It's so difficult because during the course of the season, you're going to have a day where your pitcher doesn't pitch well or you have defensive lapse. And when I was at Audubon, we had some great teams. One year we lost to Paulsboro. We were 28-4 and lost to Paulsboro.
Right.
So figure that one out.
Yeah, it's so difficult to go undefeated. You know, in football, you can have everything going for you and you can just dominate the competition. But in baseball, you have to have everything going right on every single day, sometimes multiple days in a row. That's very difficult to get right.
And so many variables that come in now. This is a great job. Oh,
that's going to get through Lockwood in the right center field. So base runner for Kingsway as Ashton Ford gets aboard.
There's just so many variables that can come in baseball. The weather can be involved in baseball so much as far as the coldness or dampness or whatever is involved. Plus, when you're good, everybody gives you their A game.
Right.
And that's if you have one off day, you're going to have that problem.
It's almost inherently a sign of respect when somebody gives their A game versus you every single time that they face you, because that means that everybody universally fears you and your program and also holds you highly for your competition.
Yeah, when I was coaching at Deptford High School for football, and we were really, really good, every team that we would play would be their Super Bowl. They would sit there and say, if we can beat Deptford, then that's made our season. That's what made it doubly tough. You had to be ready every day.
That one's outside to Ward with the runner on first and 2 away. Gloucester Catholic, their last batter was Pancoast. They'll bat 6, 7, and 8 with Pund, Mohan, and Pinero in the bottom of the second inning here on a beautiful afternoon from Joe Barth Field. Runner goes. Chopper right back to the mound. No problems for Morgan. Underhand flip, and the side is retired. Kingsway goes down in order, but gets one base, or not in order, but they get one base runner on to open up their offensive portfolio. After a frame and a half, Gloucester Catholic 1, Kingsway 0. Bottom of the second inning here from Gloucester Catholic. This broadcast is brought to you by our friends over at Harper Driving School. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey State driving test with Harper pass on their first attempt. Book an appointment today at Suite 4 of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman at 614 Lambs Road. Leading off with number 6 batter Jack Pund, also a basketball player for Gloucester Catholic. Under Brandon Doherty, who's been there for a handful of years, took over for Todd Powers. Pund only had 3 at-bats in his last 2 seasons combined, but this season 4 for 14, all singles, 2 walks and a stolen base, .286 average. Went 0 for 3 yesterday versus the Hun School. So this is not only the first division game for Gloucester Catholic, this is the first NJSIAA opponent for Gloucester Catholic. The 4 schools that were out of state in the USA Baseball Invitational, the National Invitational, but also the Hun School yesterday, the large prep academy. At least I don't think they're a part of the NJSIAA. I believe they play in their own prep.
That is correct. They
play up there with Blair, Pennington, the Petty School.
Lawrenceville.
Life Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are schools that are NJSIAA, but they're independent. Like Morristown Friends was independent for a while. Doan Academy was independent for a while. Today you have schools like Leap Academy, Camden Charter, Mastery Camden. A lot of the charter schools are independent. Wilberforce up north. Some of the non-publics are still
right. St. Benedict's up in Newark. Yeah, exactly.
They're still independent, but they are a member of the NJSIAA. From Manifesta, swing and a miss. First out of the inning and first strikeout for Manifesta. I mean, that first inning that Manifesta had was not great nor terrible. You know, it was right around the middle. He gave up a base hit, that RBI to Lipoff, and if he can settle in and start getting some swings and misses, especially in the bottom of the order, that's going to give Manifesta some confidence to really attack this top half of the order for Gloucester Catholic.
Yeah, and I think, Dan, there's a little bit of nervousness when you come out, especially when you're playing a good team like Gloucester Catholic. And those jitters die down after inning number 1. So he should be back on the game.
That one's low. 1-1 count to their 7-hitter. Braden Mohan, a sophomore. 3 for 14 this season, .214 average, had 3 hits. Went 1 for 3 with an RBI in yesterday's win, 7-1 over the Hun School. As that one's low. It also just fascinates me here at Joe Barth how deep the field is. That sound you hear is somebody running one of those dirt machines for the infield grass or the infield dirt of the softball field. And he's technically in play, but it's also so far back that if somebody were to hit that ball that deep into the right center gap, that would be more impressive than anything. Popped up, foul. One of the things that's interesting, you just saw that foul ball there, it is nearly impossible for a catcher to catch a pop-up fly ball at this park because of that net. If the ball goes straight up in the air, it is going to hit that net. You could even hit it in front of the net a little bit, and you might be able to hit it. So it makes for an interesting discussion during ground rules because I've seen some opposing coaches that don't like that net because it kind of prevents the opportunity for the catcher to catch a pop-up and could take away outs and turn them into foul balls. 2-strike pitch is low, and that'll be ball 4 to Mohan, as now Eddie Pinero will bat in the 8th spot.
Yeah, Dan, there's also the infamous Barth bounce. This field has a certain thing, the way the ball will travel and bounce at the end, and opposing teams complain that they think that it's made that way so that Gloucester Catholic knows it and they don't. It's kind of interesting. Home field advantage is certainly a thing you need.
No better place to have it here. I mean, you know, we do countless games here, whether it's GC or whether it's the Brooklawn Brookers in the summer, and every time we do a game here, if I bring a DWB crew member here or whatever, they'll always say, this is how the field regularly looks. There's no snow fence or anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it is. It's the most unique ballpark in South Jersey. And there's people that say it shouldn't be that way. But, you know, listen, the Polo Grounds was about 20 feet deeper to center field. Where
that is absolutely 447 or something like that.
Well, if you include the if you include the little carve out in center field where the trophies were, it was 483 feet to center. Here goes the runner. Throws it back. Throw to second is in time. So they're able to strike down Mohan. As the first inning, Gloucester Catholic did that successfully. The second inning, they are unsuccessful, and there's 2 down. Kind of interesting that they decided to try that move again instead of going back to the bag, unless Mohan knew that he was going to be out if he went back to the bag.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you don't want to balk. So the situation is, if your foot's on the rubber, you got to throw towards first base. But usually the first baseman will go very quickly to second, which they did that time. But it's tough. A left-hander is very, very deceiving.
From Manifesta. Breaking ball outside. John Galante is behind the home plate for this ball game, a leading member and the owner of Tri-State Elite Umpiring. I've had some great conversations with him over the years, as there's a swing and a miss from Pinero. If the inning continues after this batter, the number 9 hitter for Gloucester Catholic will be Santino Ciavato, the third baseman. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 away. Southpaw delivers, and he gets the swing and a miss. Gloucester Catholic, 1 base runner, held promptly off the board after a walk was cut down at second base from Braden Mohan. We're through 2 here on this beautiful Wednesday in Brooklawn. 1-0 Gloucester Catholic. Welcome back. There's the Brooklawn Water Tower as we've got Jude Morgan on the hill in the top of the third. This one's laced out towards right. Could be over the head. No, it gets taken in. Good read by that right fielder, and Eddie Pinero takes it in for the first out off the bat of Finelli. So that's now 3 innings where the first out has been recorded on the first pitch. These guys not wasting any time.
No, and great job by the right fielder. He just read that well. Took it over his shoulder, which is the easiest way to do it. And, you just see how well people are schooled.
Another one lined into right field, and the number 9 hitter helps the cause, Braden Bell, with the first hit of the game for Kingsway. I marked down that ground ball by Ashton Ford to be an E4 on Lockwood. I don't know what you had, Fred.
I had E4.
Yeah, so that will be the first true hit of the game. It's always difficult at the high school level because we've had scenarios before where a game goes into the 6th inning and I have 1 hit and maybe the home book scored that hit as an error. So I like that if you're going to get your first hit of the game, hold on here, ground ball, Taylor. That one's bobbled and short by Danza. Now the runner's going to pump the brakes. Diving back at second is Bell. And speaking of hits and errors, that'll be a rare error by Noah Danza at shortstop, the future Mississippi State player, as he ends up picking up Gloucester Catholic's 2nd error of the game. And before you miss it, Kingsway's got 2 on and 1 out.
Dan, what I always did when I was scoring games one way or the other is always told people make the first hit a good hit. And because you
don't make my job hard.
you can always go back and change things as the game goes along.
Well, sometimes I've had to check out in the middle of the broadcast to check with the home book because that's the quote official score. And we had a situation one time where even in a Gloucester Catholic game, I believe they were throwing a no-hitter versus Red Bank Catholic. It was it wasn't a playoff game. It was a regular season game. We were here for it. And I remember somebody coming up to me and say, they have a no-hitter going in the 6th inning. And I'm like, well, I have 1 hit down and no errors. But their home book had scored it as 1 error, no hits. So there's always discrepancies that go into that. That's why in Major League Baseball, sometimes errors get flipped into hits and vice versa weeks after the fact because they want to get it right.
Yep.
And
exactly.
I'm an apologist for wanting to get it right. I've seen as much as it just burdens me to no end. I've seen so many games on NJ.com or on other sites or whatever where a team will have 1 less error. They'll have 1 error and 5 hits in the field when I only had them having 2 hits and they had 3 or 4 errors in the field. It's one of those things that if you don't score the game correctly, you're not doing anybody a favor. But Taylor strikes out, and there's 2 away.
And there's people that are charitable scores that even though it drops off of somebody's glove, they're still giving them a hit because they want to see the guy get a hit. But yep, you got to be fair and got to be honest.
It's the one thing is that, when I watch high school baseball, I genuinely ask myself, I'm like, how many of these people that are in the dugout know every single rule that goes into scoring? I don't know every rule, but I know enough to fairly score a game.
We had one interesting the other day, a ball hit between first and second. The second baseman makes the play but throws it over the first baseman's head. Easy error. Except that the runner now takes a short turn towards second. They throw the ball back to first and get him out. How do you score it? Well, you got to score it at E4, and then he's out 2-3 to make everything. We went back and forth on that probably 4 times.
Kyle Shields, the batter. 2 runners on, 2 away, as Jude Morgan getting his first sense of adversity as this one's foul. Left field line towards Route 130.
Hey, yes, sir. Sir, Fred Sports.
What the hell are you doing here,
I'm
buddy?
here, man. Good to see you.
How you doing?
What's up with you?
Nothing. You hear about Angel?
I'll tell you in between the innings.
Okay.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Kyle Shields. And a swing and a miss. Side retired as Jude Morgan picks up his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon. As we'll go to the bottom of the 3rd. Kingsway leaves 2 on. It's Gloucester Catholic up 1-0. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Having a little bit of fun around here at Brook Lawn. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Fred Swartz of Rowan University. Our producer is Javier Harris of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and also an umpire himself. Excited to have him on the headset sooner rather than later. We've got a couple of games coming up as we head for Easter weekend. First batter in the bottom of the 3rd will be Chivato in the 9 slot. 9-1-2. Tomorrow we'll make the trip over to 8th and High Street at Joseph Servino Field for a non-conference matchup between Woodstown and Haddon Heights. Should be a fun one. First pitch at 4 p.m. Expected to see Jack Nichols, the right-hander committed to Tennessee, in that matchup. And then on Good Friday, 11 a.m. baseball between Overbrook and Timber Creek from Overbrook in Pine Hill, with a first pitch at 11 a.m. And then on Saturday, we'll be in Atlantic City for the Sports Farm Youth Football Tournament starting at 9 a.m. from Atlantic City High School. This one's poked out towards center field, actually out towards short, and Taylor picks that one up. There's one away. And that'll turn over to lineup card to Danza.
Yeah, go ahead. I go down there and check
Thanks,
on the
man.
bathroom. I'll talk to you.
Danza will be the batter. Danza had an error at shortstop in the top of the third. He's 0 for 0, had a walk to lead off the ball game. Came around to score on the lip-off's RBI single. First pitch to Danza, up and away. And then next week, spring break for the high school kids. We'll have BCSL baseball on the 6th between Cinnaminson and Doan Academy. And then our good friend Mr. Swartz will be back on the call from Ed Rieger Field on Tuesday the 7th between Overbrook and Pennsville.
And Mr. Dan, I always used to enjoy playing Woodstown in baseball because they played woody ball.
One of my favorite styles of baseball.
Oh, I'm telling you, got to be. And they were the biggest bench jockeys around. They had so many bench jockeys that were set one year. The NJSIAA had to set a rule up of how many people could be in the dugout.
Huh.
So they were amazing.
Listen, when a South Jersey school is so influential that the state has to step in, because usually if a school creates a problem and it's from the south side, that ball's hit well out towards left field. Going back, center fielder is going to back him up. It's way back there, and it's caught. That was a shot by Noah Danza, and in many other ballparks, that's a round tripper.
I would think almost every ballpark, that thing was really, really hit well. And that's one thing about Barth Field.
Maybe the only other ballpark where that's not the case is Bishop Eustace, because it's got that really deep left field curve.
That's correct. And that's why when you play Bishop Eustace, you play as many left-handed batters as you can so they can hit the ball on the Route 30.
Route 70.
Or 70, that's what it is, yeah.
In Pennsauken. Yeah, it's only 294 down the right field line. We were there for a game post-cutoff last year versus Cherry Hill West, and Eustace won that game 7-3. And there were a couple home runs hitting that one as that's going to scoot through into center field for Bogart. Base hit. So after Danza's deep fly ball to left, 2-out knock by Gloucester Catholic should reignite the offense for Lipoff.
And a carbon copy of what his brother Joey does, because that's you like to shoot the middle. Now, so much is interesting now the way they're playing baseball now, where the second baseman and the shortstop, depending on a left-handed or right-handed batter, is actually playing almost near the bag. And so those shots that you used to hit all the time straight up the middle are out. So,
right. Well, Bogart gets the base hit. Chivato popped out to short. Danza flew out to very deep left field. And Bogart gets the single as the day is already done for Jake Mangiafesta. He is done after 2 2/3 innings. Right-hander coming in for Kingsway. That is number 17. We'll get a read on him in a second.
That's Brody Racon.
That would be correct. Brody Racon is the pitcher for Kingsway. So he takes over for the left-hander, and we've got our first pitching change of the afternoon. We return in just a moment. Brody Rakan is the pitcher for Kingsway as we return from the pitching change. The sophomore has 3 innings this season, his first varsity season on the hill. No earned runs or unearned runs. 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 Ks. That was in an appearance versus Jackson Township. And again, a game that Kingsway won 11-5. They knocked off GCIT 6-0 on Monday. And then they will have the weekend off before facing Triton in Tri-County non-divisional baseball during their spring break on the 7th. After that, they'll have 3 straight games at home. Clearview on the 9th, Cumberland on the 10th, which Cumberland is off to a sneaky good start. They're 4-1, including a win over Vineland, and they held Cherry Hill West to their own, lost 13-9 yesterday, and that was after Cumberland went 5-19 last year. They did not have a good season. As another pickoff over to first is not in time.
That was very, very close. You know, I wonder, Dan, on this, it's April 1st. And a lot of coaches now don't want to extend the pitch counts for a lot of their pitchers. So it's possible that the starter had a pitch count limit that he was going to go for that day.
Well, it'll be interesting to see these 2 teams meet up at the end of the season at Kingsway. We also have that game noted on our schedule as well on May 21st. So the next time these 2 teams will play each other will quite literally be 2 days before the cutoff date for PowerPoints. So these 2 teams are meeting now. They might look night and day different when we see them again. Runner was going to go, but he'll hold up as that one misses low. Ford corrals it in, and it's 1-1.
You know, one of the best things that college baseball is going to now is they have the pitch clock.
Right.
And
at Division I, I think, or is it all 3?
It's all 3. It's all 3. We have one at Division III. And it really helps speed up the game.
Swing and a miss. Big hack by Lipoff. I don't know why I didn't know that there was one at Division III, because we've done games for Rutgers Camden, but it's never been brought up. Like, you know, I've never seen a pitch clock violation there. They just always seem to roll through it. So
yeah, ours is right behind the home plate backstop area, and it's done by the base umpire.
Throw back to first, not in time.
And the other thing,
is it the same as Major Leagues?
Same as Major Leagues.
So that's, what, 20 with nobody on and 15 with runners on?
I think we're just using 20
flat for everything. Because I know in the Major Leagues it's a shorter time if there are runners on base.
Yeah, I don't think we have that. And we don't have that rule where
there's a ground ball by Lipoff, third base side. It's foul.
We don't have that rule that if you throw over the third time on a pickoff attempt, that if you don't get him, the runner advances to second base.
I know that for sure. I know that for sure, because I'll tell you, we had an opening day game between DeSale. No, it was the second game that we did, actually. It was Centenary versus Rutgers Camden. Jake Slasarski, Williamstown grad, was the batter, and Centenary pitchers threw over to first 10 times in the at-bat. 10 times, and the at-bat was a 9-pitch at-bat that saw a mound visit right in the middle of it, and a batter's timeout in the middle of it. I timed it, and the at-bat went 9 minutes and 30 seconds.
That's unbelievable.
One at-bat, and it ended in an RBI single.
And, Dan, the other one I thought is now you can call an offensive timeout.
Right.
And bring all the runners in and the batter and explain everything. I'm a baseball purist. I never saw anything like that.
Throw back to second, throw down to second, rather, not in time. Stolen base for Bogart. So with you being a baseball purist, I would say I'm like about 70-80% a baseball purist. How would you say you feel about the pitch clock?
Well, I like it because it speeds the game up.
Right.
The things that it took me a little while to get used to the designated hitter because that was always part of the deal. Except for Don Drysdale, who used to bat 7th, every pitcher bats 9th.
Or Joe Madden with the Cubs. He would put his pitcher in the 8 slot as this ball skied out towards right. Shields will run in. It's going to go out to second base, and how about that for a nice catch? Sliding in and making the basket catch over his head is Braden Thorpe. And the inning is over. Fantastic play for the Binghamton commit, and the side is retired. Kingsway leaves GC off the board as we'll go to the top of the 4th, 1-0. Welcome back. Here's that play that ended the third inning. It was a fantastic play at that. Take a look at this. The right-hander threw. This was a nice pop-up going over towards second, but I wasn't really sure where this was going to go. I thought Shields was going to track it down, and then Thorpe comes in and then slides and makes the catch. Fantastic play by the second baseman. As we go to the top of the fourth inning, this broadcast is brought to you by the South Jersey chapter of the National Adult Baseball Association. Premier baseball right in your backyard for 18-plus divisions and 35-plus divisions. You can visit or register today at southjerseynaba.com. The play may have already started, but it's never too late to join a team. Ooh, that one's fouled off the foot of the leadoff man for Kingsway, and they'll be...
And that's another thing we can say now when the batters come up, especially in the major leagues, they have so much apparatus on, whether it's covering their elbows, whether it's covering their shins, and then when they walk, they have to take everything off. So,
by the way, Thorpe is not a Binghamton commit. I confused it with somebody else. I don't remember exactly what, but he is still uncommitted at this time. Same with Jude Morgan, but Nate Bott is not, as he swings and misses on that one. 3 straight Ks for Morgan as the Delaware commit swings and misses, and Clark Schmidt will be the batter. Greg Mamula's done a fantastic job recruiting in South Jersey. He's got Anthony Charles at a Clearview, handful of younger guys like Grant Fournier of Cherry Hill West. Don't know what other names I'm blanking on, but a lot of names have been committed to Delaware for a while now. Luke Guire out of Bordentown, time called at the plate. Morgan got into his motion.
And, of course, Rowan Gloucester, they're one of their star players ever from the West Deptford, whose name is escaping me at the minute.
Caleb Delaney?
No, went down to he played right field for Gloucester. Went down to Delaware, did very, very well. And then
Aaron Graber.
Aaron Graber.
I thought you meant current, and I no, Aaron Graber, yeah.
And he had he had a great year, and he benefited out of the COVID rule where he got an extra year to play.
Ended up signing as an undrafted free agent with Anaheim, or the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah, he was as good a hitter as I've seen. There was no ifs, ands, or buts, and clutch. And he was also, in high school, a pretty darn good quarterback for West Deptford.
From Morgan, it's low. So it'll be Schmidt and then Ashton Ford. And that one is away. So 1 out base runner for Kingsway with Ford, the batter, who reached on an error in his last appearance. One on, 1 out. But in a 1-0 game, we had the leadoff run come in extremely early. I mean, it was the RBI single by Braden Lipoff, and then it's been radio silence since. So it'll be interesting to see if Kingsway takes advantage of that. But a lot of games that we've seen, I think the only game that I can remember that was high scoring between these two teams was back in 2023, and GC won 13-8 at Kingsway. But even then, that was an exception to the rule. We've seen at least one game end 1-0 here at GC versus Kingsway. And then we've had others that have ended like something like 4-0 or 3-2. It's always super close around here, except for the one time in 2022, Kingsway mercy ruled them 15-0. I think that was the only time in recent memory that GC lost 10 or more games in a season. And even then, they literally only lost 10 total. Strike called. Ford and then A.J. Ward, the first baseman. Time called. So if Kingsway can get a ball here, maybe through the right side or really through any gap in the infield, get 2 runners on, and then you bring up A.J. Ward, who definitely is a good situational hitter from what I've seen, could create a possibility of him tying this game back up for Kingsway.
And that's true, Dan. The bottom line is you want to put a scoring situation in for Kingsway and put some pressure on Gloucester Catholic for their defense.
They did put 2 runners on in the third. A single by Braden Bell and an error that was reached on from Braden Thorpe, but nothing after that as Lipoff takes that one away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But for Gloucester Catholic, already this is their 6th game of the year, Kingsway their 3rd. We mentioned the national tournament in North Carolina. Funny enough that Kingsway played Jackson Township, Gloucester Catholic will host Jackson Township on the 4th. 12:30 p.m. first pitch. And then they go versus St. Augustine on Wednesday, the 8th. They only have 2 games during spring break. One this coming Saturday, one on Wednesday, and then their next divisional game will be Clearview on Monday the 13th. I do say they have a very backloaded schedule, playing a lot of games in May. There's a swing and a miss. Throw down to second is safe. Super close down at second base. And getting in there is Schmidt. The batter is out. It's a swing and a miss. It's another strikeout for Morgan, but there's now 2 away and a runner in scoring position. It's a bold move by Kingsway to try to steal on Lipoff.
And that's what you have to do when you're behind. You have to try to do something to create some excitement so that your team can rally and raise their emotions, because baseball's such a game of emotions at times.
Ward, the batter. That one's poked down the right field line. It's fair. Down towards Pinero. Coming around 30, bobbles it. Run will score, and this game is tied. RBI single. A.J. Ward the other way. And it's 1-1 in the 4th. That is exactly what Kingsway needed right there, and Ward wasted no time tagging Jude Morgan for the RBI.
Yeah, and it also helped that it was 2 outs, so the runner was breaking on contact. I don't know whether he would have been able to be thrown out at the plate, but the bobble made it easier. But that's what Kingsway needs. Now it's a new ball game, as we say.
1-1 tied up here on the RBI by Ward, as the batter will be Christian Finelli. Oh, that one ran in on the hands. Did it hit him? It did. They'll say it hit him on the hand. GC's assistant coach kind of putting his arms up in disagreement, but I don't think he's going to get his way. And we'll have now 2 runners on as Jude Morgan in his biggest bout of adversity this afternoon. So now it brings up the number 9 batter, Braden Bell. He had a base hit to lead off, or check that, to start out the 3rd with 1 out. Had a line out to right on the first pitch, and then Bell had to single the other way. But the hit by pitch definitely complicates things. And if you're Gloucester Catholic, I don't see anybody warming down there right now. It would be down the left field line. But Lipoff and Morgan just touching base, making sure that they're on the same page, because you don't want this game to get away from you. And by getting away from you for Gloucester Catholic, that standard is losing at any point.
Yeah, Dan, a really good job there by the catcher, just to go out, calm your pitcher down, get him back in focus, and just tell him you got 2 outs, you just have to work on the batter no matter what happens.
There's a reason why Lipoff is committed to such a high-level program in East Carolina.
Yeah, it's a great program, and also every baseball player around this area wants to go south because the weather is so much better down south than it is up here. I can't imagine if you went to the University of Maine.
I don't even know if they have a baseball team.
Yeah, I got to see them. I went down and did the game between Navy and Maine.
Fair enough.
But they were 1 in like 18.
Well, that's the thing, is that, you know, this is a sport that benefits the warmer weather. And
yeah.
Although it doesn't seem to have as much of a problem in lacrosse programs, because Rutgers and Johns Hopkins, Army, Navy.
But again, you're playing on turf 99% of the time.
True.
And
which is a warmer surface.
Yeah.
I think it's something like turf is, on average, 10 degrees warmer than natural grass just because of that concrete padding, as there's a strike 3 called. Kingsway, though, does not leave Morgan without a scratch. They tie up the game on an RBI single by A.J. Ward. And it's a brand new ball game, just like Mr. Swartz said. We go to the bottom of the fourth, 1-1. Bottom of the fourth starts with a swing and a miss from Jude Morgan. 0-1 account as beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Can't overstate it enough how wonderful it is, especially because it looks like some colder weather has headed our way, but that one's down. We did a scrimmage here one time in 2023 between Cherry Hill West and Gloucester Catholic. Cherry Hill West won the game 11-4, but it was something like 35 degrees at first pitch, and the game ended up going up close to 3 hours, as that's going to hit Morgan right on the inside, and it'll be a leadoff hit by pitch as Gloucester Catholic, after losing the lead, now gets right back into action with a hit by pitch.
And I think that's a really good point of saying it, because Kingsway got a little momentum after scoring, especially on Jude Morgan, and now Gloucester Catholic's job is to get that momentum back, score a run, put Kingsway back behind, and with only the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings to go.
Courtesy runner for Jude Morgan at first is Bobby Claynow, as it'll be the number 5 batter, Henry Pancoast. But yeah, you were talking about, baseball programs down south and what it means to be a part of such a big program. I mean, you look at Gloucester Catholic's commits. Noah Danza, Mississippi State,
Yep.
Braden Lipoff, East Carolina, Guy Lynham to Auburn, and a handful of others, like from 2024, Tate Darius to Miami. So,
and that's great programs. And when Rowan Gloucester would send all their really good kids to Lynn University, which is in Boca Raton, Florida.
They still send a few there.
I
Kai
believe
Hutchins.
Well,
And,
one time we're playing up
Kyle
there.
McSorley from
We're
last year.
playing up there. And it's like March 1st, and it's 38 degrees. And they sent a picture of their game where it was 85, and said, "Where would you rather be?" And I'd said Boca Raton.
Not to mention Charleston Southern. We've got a kid
Yeah.
on Kingsway, Tyler Rogers. He's committed there. And really, part of that, there's a handful of guys that are also down at Barry University, a Division II in Coral Gables.
Yep.
Former Pittman pitcher Aiden Huey went to Salem Community College, and then threw back to first. Kingsway wanted to say that they got him. They did not, though. It's a swing and a miss, and Cahan has his strikeout for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Jack Pun. But anyways, Brett Young was the assistant at Charleston Southern, and then he got hired as a head coach at Barry.
And also played and coached at Gloucester County College.
That's right. And he's been very involved down there. And
he took over for a very good friend of mine, Juan Renero, who used to be the baseball coach at Rowan.
That's another hit by pitch. Pund gets aboard. That's the second plunk of the inning. And it's now going to bring 2 runners on. Pancoast struck out, and Pund gets hit. So 2 plunks, 2 runners, and Braden Mohan will bat with 2 on and 1 away.
And here's your situation. And you want to advance the runners. And one thing you don't want to do is get a double play. Some people would bunt in this situation, even though there's 1 out, just to force the other team to have 2 runners in scoring position.
That one is low to Mohan. And then Eddie Pinero, the right fielder, will be after him unless a double play breaks up this inning. But a 1-1 game, always an instant classic here at Kingsway and Gloucester Catholic here at the famous Joe Barth Field. The 1-0 is low.
And the Kingsway pitcher struggled a little bit. I'm pretty sure now they'll have the batter take at least 1 pitch, maybe 2 pitches, to try to force a good hitting position.
Yeah, it's a 2-0 count now. I can't imagine he's going to swing at this pitch here. He
does.
And it was a good one,
It
too.
was.
So that's a good eye right there.
I agree.
It's 2-1, just a little bit early.
Yeah, it came right down the chute, or right down the middle of the plate, as we like to say.
Wonder how this infield and outfield are going to react with Pinero on deck, because you've got Pinero and then Chivato, 2 lefties coming up. This is the last right-hander in the rotation, as that one's inside, 3-1. I mean, Danza's a right-hander, and then Bogart, Lipoff. You've got 2 lefties in the lineup, and they're all in the 8 and 9 slot. So if you're going to have, let's say if he gets out here, or if he walks, bases loaded, 1 out, and then you've got a left-hander coming up in Pinero, be interesting to see how Bill Alvaro chooses his battles. That's ball 4. And now 3 runners will be on for Gloucester Catholic with no hits in the inning, 2 hit by pitches and a walk to Braden Mohan, the sophomore. And it's now going to bring up Eddie Pinero, the right fielder.
And you just want him in this situation, if he gets a good pitch, to drive the ball. You're not trying for a home run. You just want him to drive the ball, because you should be able to get a run. Looks like Bill Alvaro coming out to talk to the pitcher.
That's their pitching coach, I believe.
Is that who it is? So there is a person down in the pen, a lefty down in the pen, so we may see a situational change where they bring the left-handed pitcher in to go against the next 2 left-handed batters.
Let's see, that is down the left field line. If he turns his back, his catcher's number 35, but his pitcher is number 19, which is Miles Pezzicola. So we'll stay here, though, unless this is a pitching change. John Galante will go out and try to break up this mound visit, as they do so successfully. And we'll have the bases loaded for Eddie Pinero. I'm very intrigued to see how Gloucester Catholic approaches this here, because, again, you're facing the 8 and 9 guys in the order. Both of them are left-handers, and I'm more intrigued to see how Pinero puts the bat to the ball here, because he's a sophomore, he's a young kid. His second season on varsity. Only had 4 at-bats last year. Has not had a hit this season. He's 0 for 8 with 1 hit by pitch.
And Kingsway doing a very good job here. They're playing what's called corners up, middle infielders back. So you play if the ball's hit to short or second for the double play. If it's hit to first or it's hit to third, you're coming right to the plate.
Now remember, they do have a couple of key transfers coming in for GC, one of them being Chase Ledick out of Collingswood, but he cannot play as he is a senior transfer, so he has to sit out, I think, for another week or 2. I don't know the exact time frame, but it's at least the first couple of games, if not the first 2 weeks of the season, coming over against a depleted Collingswood team. Is now Ford and his pitcher will try to make sure they're on the same page.
Yeah, NJSIAA decided they couldn't control all the transfers anymore. So they opened it up and said, if you're willing to do it, you're allowed a one-time transfer. But if you transfer in your senior year, you have to sit.
Yeah, I think the NJSIAA as a whole, I think they've done the best they could with it, because if you completely eliminate being able to transfer between schools for athletic purposes, I think that that's going to open up a lot of unfortunate loopholes, and you're probably going to get some lawsuits from people who say that, well, you should be able to do that between public schools, because kids move between public schools all the time for non-athletic reasons. I knew a lot of kids in high school who just moved to a different school because it was a better opportunity, or just because they moved. But we're now seeing situations where these kids come in and they don't like where they're playing at the high school level, so they end up transferring.
That's right. I was involved in one situation with the NJS. It wasn't involving Audubon at the time, but a kid went to a certain school, the father didn't like the coach. He took a apartment out in another town, played for that other team with a bona fide change for address, didn't like the coach there, so he moved back home, and that was a bona fide change of address too. So he played for 2 schools, transferred all those times, and it was 100% legal.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Just to close the point, I really think that the NJSIAA should crack down more on the fake addresses that people use for that. But listen, there's only so much they can do in the modern age. Here comes the 3-2 from the right-hander. Swing and a miss. He got him. Pinero goes down swinging, and one more stone is off of its head as Pinero goes down for out number 2. And the number 9 hitter, Sebastian Chivato, will be the chance to break this game and break this tie, Santino Chivato, with 2 outs and the bases loaded.
Yeah, we presented that, what you said, to NJSIAA to take retired athletic directors or retired police officers and make them investigators so they could check out everything that was going. Voted down because it would have cost too much.
Yeah, that's how a lot of things get shut down these days. That's how I feel the shot clock thing might happen for basketball and lacrosse, is that it might come down to logistics and money, really. But
yeah, you almost have to put a grace year in because it is an expense, number one, for the clock. Now, basketball not as bad because it'll sink in with your regular clock, but you have to teach somebody how to work the clock, and that's what is going to be an issue, or pay somebody to work the clock.
Here's the 1-1. Well, in football, you have sanctioned clock operators that are a part of the refereeing crew. I don't know if they'll have the same for basketball, or if it'll just be like regular where the clock is operated by whoever has the right training.
I think so, because it's the number of officials goes down each year.
And it'll keep going down. I've been saying in the last 5 years, non-conference games are going to be very hard to find because we're going to run out of officials to cover them. It's unfortunate, but with all the abuse that officials receive from parents, and I'm sorry, but that's how it is.
That is exactly how it is.
It's exactly how it is. They ruin it for everybody, and it ends up creating a situation where the kids are going to play less games, that it's going to ruin the sport, and most sports as it is with them. 3 balls, 1 strike, and it's a strike called. So the left-hander, 3 balls, 2 strikes, got a chance to either take the lead or send us to the 5th in a tie game.
And my favorite play in baseball, because everybody's moving at every base, and a single can drive home 3 runs.
Let's see what we've got here. Chivato versus Rakan. It's ball 4, and Gloucester Catholic takes the lead. Scoring from third is the courtesy runner, and that will make it a 2-1 Gloucester Catholic lead. That one definitely looked like it was low. I don't harp too much on balls and strikes being this far out. If we were behind home plate, maybe, but that looked like it was the right call just from our far out view, and it's 2-1 GC.
And if you're a coach, you can't argue balls and strikes. If you want to argue balls and strikes, you can get ejected, and then you can argue balls and strikes.
You can argue balls and strikes from your car.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
As a strike called. That's one thing that I think will be interesting with ABS is that with the automated ball strike challenge system, is that what does that mean for managers like the old style Lou Piniella coming out and or Lloyd McClendon? Does that mean that era is over, where we don't see managers flipping out at the umpires anymore?
I would say you're right.
That ball is laced by Danza, left field, going back. That's going to get down. It'll one hop off the green fence. 1 run is in, 2 runs are in. The runner stops at third. It's a 2-run double for Noah Danza, and this game is turned on its head. It's 4-1. Gloucester Catholic hits the ground running with a two-run double by Noah Danza, and he breaks this game. It was 1-1 in the 6th. Bases loaded walk made it 2-1, and now Noah Danza makes it a 3-run lead, and Bill Alvaro will come out and take his right-hander out of the game. So it looks like the left-hander will be the new pitcher in Miles Pezzicola, who's only had 3 innings at the varsity level, and one of his biggest tasks yet for sure at the high school varsity scene. We'll take a break. Gloucester Catholic leads 4-1 as Noah Danza gives them a 3-run lead with that 2-run double. Miles Pezzicola, the southpaw, is the new pitcher for Kingsway. Only 3 career innings at the varsity level. 2 of them came last week. He had 2 innings versus Jackson Township, 1 unearned run, 3 strikeouts, no walks in the relief appearance. And Pezzicola, first pitch to Bogart, is outside. So 3rd pitcher of the game for Gloucester Catholic with a 3 spot here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
And
2
only
away.
1 hit.
One, 2, outside.
From the really, really good programs around, you see how pitchers are taught how to pitch, how you nibble and how you move the ball around, so you never want to throw the ball in the same place twice in a row.
1 ball, 2 strikes from Pezzicola. Ground ball, Bogart skips through, out in the center field, picked up. Here comes the throw, not in time, and both runners come around. Will be an RBI single for Jason Bogart, and it's now 6-1 with both runs coming across. Gloucester Catholic now with a controllable 5-run lead.
Yeah, some places they say they've really broken it open right here. And they've done this in a situation basically with 2 outs, which means you never stop. You never give up.
Yeah, this inning was kind of weird how it happened, but now Bogart going down to second. He is. Let's see, safe was the call. umpire. I didn't really see the call down there at second, but inning started with Jude Morgan getting hit by the pitch, and then Panko struck out swinging. Pund was hit by the pitch. Mohan walked, and then the bases were loaded for Eddie Pinero. He struck out swinging for the second out, and still no runs had come across. But then Tiavato walked to bring in the go-ahead. It was 2-1. Danza had the 2-run double to left, which one thing that we didn't really talk about all that much with how difficult it was for that left fielder for Kingsway, Austin Schmidt, to field that ball off of the chain link fence in front of the church. But he fielded that well, and then after that 2-run single by Bogart, and it's the ninth batter of the inning and Lipoff.
Yep, you figure that there was a way out for Kingsway to escape this inning with minimal damage, and it turns out now they have to fight uphill.
It's going to be a very steep incline for Kingsway as they'll have the last 9 outs starting in the 5th. It's a 2-0 count to Lipoff as that one is up and away, 3-0. For Kingsway in the top of the 5th inning, it'll be their 1, 2, and 3 hitters, Thorpe, Taylor, and Shields.
And Dan, I think it's important for them. They've got to get runs. They don't have to get 5 runs, but they've got to get a couple runs just to get themselves back in the ball game.
Right, you've got to get something going. That's a strike called at the letters, 3-1. As we said, Gloucester Catholic 3-2 on the young season. Went 2-2 in the USA Baseball National Invitational, consisting of 16 programs from coast to coast, and they went 2-2. It's not really a tournament. I mean, it is an invitational. You know, really no champion of sorts, but they went down there for 4 days to, I believe it was 5 days total, to Cary, North Carolina. Ended up
a great bonding experience too.
Absolutely.
Put the players together.
And because the game started on the 23rd, all of those games counted
towards
your overall record.
Did they have to get special permission to do that?
There's a ground ball, that's foul. You mean USA Baseball, or?
No, from the rules for NJSIAA is when they could play their first game.
Well, the first game that you can play was on March 23rd.
Okay.
So they pushed it back a week, or pushed it forward a week, starting last year. So our opening day was on March 25th last year, and there were teams that didn't start until April 1st or April 2nd, but you're allowed to start in-game competition this season on the 23rd, which was a Monday. There's a ground ball. Taylor has it. Throw to first in time. Lipoff couldn't beat it down the line, and the inning is over. But Gloucester Catholic puts together a beating in the bottom of the 4th inning. It's a 5-run game as the Rams take the lead and then some. It's 6-1. Top of the 5th inning, Gloucester Catholic gets this game in their driver's seat with a 5-run bottom of the 4th inning, as it's 6-1. 5-run frame, 9 batters came across, and Braden Thorpe is the batter.
Dan, I think this is a must inning for Kingsway.
It's got to be. 9 outs. I think they got to get at least 2 here.
I agree.
Stay competitive, because Gloucester Catholic's going to keep getting runs and runs and runs. I mean, unless Kingsway has a solution in their bullpen. Again, they played on Monday versus GCIT through some of their best guys. So we'll have to see who they have in the tank.
Right, and the further you go along, the more uphill that road becomes. So you don't need 5, but you need at least 2.
And you're not going to get 5 on one swing. You know, the best you're
Right.
going to be able to do is be able to do the best you can as it goes.
And that we used to.
Gets a board off of Morgan to start the 5th.
Now, interesting strategy in here. Normally, in some situations, you'd bunt to put the runner into scoring position, but you got to play for a big inning.
Throw over first, not in time. Taylor, the batter, the second baseman. Taylor 0 for 2, fly out to center, and a strikeout. His 2 at-bats today. Kingsway might want to put one in the gap. Instead, it's a ground ball foul, and it's 0-1. But as it goes, again, Kingsway doesn't need one swing. Need a handful of swings.
That's exactly right. The one thing you also want to stay away from here is a double play.
Yeah, I would be extremely hesitant to put the ball on the ground.
That's for sure.
But the problem is at first base, here you go. That's going to be through the right side. Seeing eye single that time as it goes to Pinero, and Taylor gets the base hit. That one barely got under the glove of Mohan, and it just got under the glove of Lockwood. That was a super close play. Nobody dove for it. They just were right out of reach, and that's exactly what you wanted. They got it through a gap. Didn't mean it had to be the biggest one. That was a pretty pinhole single right there. And it's going to be Kyle Shields to bat with 2 on and nobody out. Great piece of hitting right there. Shields does show bunt.
Yeah, good traditional thing. You get those 2 runners in scoring position, and that goes in. Too many times now, baseball teams don't want to give up an out anymore.
Right.
So.
But then by choosing not to give up an out, they have the traditional at-bat where they might get out anyway.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Swinging for the fences, they might get an out on a strikeout. I'd rather get an out that's productive, as here's a ground ball. Sharply to first, it gets away into left field. It's going to be picked up by Pancoast. Throw to third is down the line. It hits off the dugout, and it goes into the dugout. Wow.
Wow.
Gloucester Catholic not looking like themselves. 2 errors on the play. One from Mohan at first and another from the center fielder Pancoast. Not only is it a double error, it's a double whammy. And that will bring home 1 run to come in. Runners on second and third, it looks like. And Gloucester Catholic just gave up a run on that comedy of errors. It's 6-2.
Yeah, Dan, what they're talking about now is if the ball went into the dugout, there's an advancement of a base, which means the runner on third would have scored. That'll give them 2 runs and put the batter all the way over to third base.
Yeah, Galante. No, I think you're right. I think the batter should be on third base, and that would be because he was well
and the throw came from the outfield.
And it was well after he crossed and turned for first base. So
that suddenly they got the 2 runs they need. Now they're going
to put that runner on third. So there's your 2 runs. 6-3. So they did confirm that call. Now they're going to throw back to third. It's not in time. Can't imagine. I mean, Jude Morgan, he's got to be incredibly frustrated right now. Not just with himself, but I mean, it's not his fault. It's his infield that messed that one up. And I can't remember the last time I saw Gloucester Catholic have 2 errors on the same play. I've seen it a lot of times at the high school level, but rarely was it at a team like this.
And I think Jude thought on that one it was going to be a double play. First to second, back to the pitcher covering first base. You got 2 outs and a runner on third base. You're in good shape.
Nate Bott, the batter, with a runner on third. That one skips off of Lipoff, and it's 1-1.
Dan, I've been very impressed with Lipoff. He's a very good controller of the game and controller of pitchers, and he's pretty athletic, too.
And he's pretty quick for what it's worth. Had a stolen base in the game.
Yeah.
He had that play in the first inning where they backpicked him at first. He decided to break for second, and he got the stolen base out of it as a strike is called to Bott. He's 0 for 2.
We were laughing the other day was catchers used to crouch all the time.
And now they sit on one
Yeah,
knee.
now they sit on one. Yeah, it's amazing. They don't do that anymore.
Everybody wants to be like Tony Pena.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Or who was that other guy that had the really, really weird stance from back in the day? It wasn't Paulo Duca. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
name escapes me at the moment.
But I always remember Tony Pena, you know, because
he spread out more than he was like he was doing a split.
there really aren't as many funky stances anymore or any funky pitching motions as they're going to say the batter went. He is out. And that's strike 3 for Bott. That's his second strikeout, and the 7th for Morgan. But the one thing that I've seen is that, or excuse me, yeah, that is his 7th strikeout. One thing that's been interesting to me is that if you look at modern development, do you really think if a player like Gary Sheffield came up today that swing, that stance where he waggles the bat would have been coached out of him?
You know, I really wonder. I mean, I was always taught to keep the bat still.
Right.
And then you can explain, and I see so many people waggle, and the ones that put the bat out in front of them, and
but not nearly as many as extreme as like what Gary Sheffield.
No,
had.
Gary Sheffield was the exception.
Or like Julio Franco.
That's another good
if
example.
Julio Franco played today, that stance would have been coached out of him when he was 12.
And I've seen players now that they put their back foot in the back of the box and put their front foot in the front of the box.
Yeah, the most egregious example I saw of that was John Jaso, was a catcher for the Pirates for a few years, but as a strike called, he would have his back foot almost like his heel was off the ground, and he had it where he was rocking back and forth. The front foot was in its normal position, but the back foot was maybe a couple feet behind him.
Wow.
As this one's floated out by by Schmidt, and it's 2-2. One away here in the top of the 5th. But yeah, I mean that's the thing, is that modern baseball development has really changed how a lot of coaches want these players to develop.
That's a very good point.
That one's up and away. It's 3-2. And I mean, think about, there's still submarine pitchers today, but not nearly as many.
Yeah, the Phillies even had one.
Not a lot of. Who do they have now? They're submarine.
Yeah, they had one. I don't know whether he got sent down or not, but Rowan's had a couple.
That one's hit out towards left field, going back. It's caught. Pund will throw it in. That's another run for the Dragons. Sacrifice fly. We said that they needed 2 runs to get back into this game. They've put up 3, and it's 6-4 with 2 outs in the top of the 5th.
And it's not a new ball game yet, but it's a reachable game right now.
And I think that now, I mean, I don't want to make any predictions, but I can't imagine Jude Morgan coming out for the 6th. They would have to bring in, I mean, listen, they don't have to, but they very well could, and I think they should bring in somebody from the bullpen for the 6th, because Morgan, I feel like he's out of confidence right now.
Well, he's had a lot of bad breaks, and that goes along with it. I mean, they've scored 4 runs, but his earned run is probably only 1.
That one is poked out towards center field. That'll get down for Ford. So Ashton Ford keeps the hits coming. It's the 2nd hit of the inning for Kingsway, and it comes on a 2-out single. Just laced that one right over the middle, and A.J. Ward will be the batter now. 2 outs. But no movement yet from that Gloucester Catholic dugout. They still have confidence that he is going to finish that inning. But A.J. Ward is the tying run. So it'll be interesting to see how long will this leash be for Gloucester Catholic. Because right now it's a very long leash that they are holding him to inside.
Another thing for Kingsway is by the fact that they've put 6 batters up this inning, their big guns will be able to bat in the 6th or the 7th inning again. So they'll be able to put their best batters up.
1-0 is a swing and a miss. I think he chased that one, and it's 1-1.
It's amazing. The pitch comes in, and it looks like it's going to be absolutely perfect for you to rip, and then it drops off the corner.
And the 1-1. That one's low. It gets away. It skips back to Lipoff. Runner will get down to second uncontested, and that runner moves another 90 feet. Two-one count, 2 down. With Ward the batter. Balk, runner on third. Jude Morgan gets a balk called, and now the runner is 90 feet away.
So without him throwing the pitch, the only thing that could possibly be
Might have been some very minor movement.
Yeah, or he broke his hands. He separated his hands.
It's one of those things. I've watched and studied the game of baseball for 10 years. I still couldn't tell you every stipulation that goes into a balk. Because here comes the throw. He might beat this out. He is safe. And the run scores. It's 6-5. RBI single, A.J. Ward. That balk comes back to bite them. And it's a 4-run inning. And still nothing from that GC dugout, although they do have a right-hander warming up in the bullpen. But this game is now a lot closer than it was. I'll give Kingsway props. They had an immediate response to that rally. I mean, we were saying during the break that this was a very uphill battle and that Gloucester Catholic might have broken this game open, but they did not. Kingsway kept the door open as this one flied out to right, but Pinero is there. And on the first pitch, Finelli flies out to retire the side. That's the second time he's hit a ball out that way. But 8 batters and 4 runs, a response to Kingsway's 5-run deficit from the bottom of the 4th inning. Now Gloucester Catholic's got to step up once more. It's 6-5 going to the bottom of the 5th.
Obviously, he's not Italian. He would. Kudos to the kid and
left field that took it off a chain link fence.
Bottom of the fifth inning. It's 6-5. Now it's anybody's game. I mean, Gloucester Catholic had a 5-run lead, bottom of the fourth inning, blew the game open, and then Kingsway blew it right back shut and put up 4 runs. Don't know if I was expecting that, but we said that Kingsway was going to be battling an uphill battle, and they absolutely conquered that hill. They just need one more run, and now they've got to face this Gloucester Catholic team with a little bit more confidence, as they're going to say batter went on the swing. Home plate umpire made that call, and Morgan is down in the count 0-2.
I'll tell you what, now, it's very interesting because we saw a lot about a character there for Kingsway. Now, they did get help from Gloucester Catholic and threw the ball around. Now we'll see how Gloucester Catholic responds after giving up the 4 runs. If they come right back and put a 5 spot down, then I'll officially say the game's broken open, even though I did it last inning.
Listen, I think that it's extremely rare for Gloucester Catholic to have 4 errors in a game. I can't remember. I mean, that we just talked about in the first or second inning. There's a swing and a miss. Morgan down on strikes. I think it's exceedingly rare to see that, and then at the same time to have it in 4 innings or 4 errors in 5 innings. You know, I was very surprised by that, because that's one of their flagship spectacles is, you know, how strictly they handle infield-outfield practice and how they prepare for their defense, because they prepare just so well for their defense, and then today it's faltered.
That's for sure, and some of it you can say it's April the 1st, but experienced teams shouldn't be making those mistakes.
Batter is Pancoast, 0 for 2. Flew out to center in the first, struck out swinging in the fourth. That one is up and out, 2-0. So after having a pitcher's friendly count to Morgan, the left-hander will be faced with a hitter friendly count from Pezzicola to Pancoast. Strike called.
Yes, what I like so far, the home plate umpire's strike zone has stayed really consistent through this particular time, and that's all a batter or a pitcher wants, is to know where to throw that pitch and know what the call is going to be.
I think that's why we see John Galante as such an important figure in South Jersey baseball for umpiring. You know, being the head of TSE, Tri-State Elite, there's a lot that goes into umpiring. And I'll say, we talked about how numbers and officiating are going down. I would say baseball might be the only sport, as that's ball 4, baseball might be the only sport where that number seems to be going up. He's recruiting a lot of young kids. I mean, not young, but like high school aged, college kids, especially around the junior college level or low-level Division III, who still enjoy the game of baseball but don't want to, who still enjoy the game and they want to get paid for it, but they don't really want to play anymore. And that's what his appeal has been. I've seen a lot of very young umpires at travel ball events, youth events, or even JV or freshman games, because that core, that ball gets thrown away. He airmailed the first baseman, A.J. Ward. And the runner will go down to second as Pancoast advances. We were talking about defensive woes. Kingsway adds 1 to the tally, as that will be a throwing error on the pitcher, Pezzicola, excuse me.
We were considering the other day, with the exception of maybe the referee in wrestling, the focal point on one referee is the highest in baseball, because everybody watches the home plate umpire,
right,
no matter what.
There's got to be a lot of pressure for those guys that are referees in wrestling. I am not a wrestling guy. I have never followed or really enjoyed it, but it's one of those things where I have seen a lot of parents give them a super hard time. And honestly, super hard time isn't even the right word for it. It's just flat out a verbal abuse.
Yes. Wrestling
Look at what happened with the Knox family last year.
Right. Wrestling is so emotional, number one. And every eye is on one particular event. And that's why everybody has their own interpretation of what a takedown is. Everybody has their own interpretation. It's probably one of the most difficult things to do. That's why I like, as you go further in like the regions or the districts or whatever, there's 2 referees there. Mm-hmm. And one that bounce ideas back. But very difficult. This year was I got to work the team championships at Rutgers University for NJSIAA, and I also did the state individual championships. And at that time, we were very pleased to hear that the tight end from Audubon is going to come to Rowan.
Yeah, I was going to say, Fred, I was talking about, those wrestling championships and, what you've been able to do for them and what the NJSIAA has made the wrestling event into. That's another ball 4 to Pund. But they've made individual wrestling championships into such a spectacle there.
Yeah, it's
because it's one champion per weight class, and
right.
There's a lot of states that only do one. Like they would basically stop at where the regions are. Let's say.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And New Jersey's pretty much the model for how they do it. I mean, we draw 11,000 people in Boardwalk Hall 2 of the 3 days, sometimes 3 of the 3 days. That's phenomenal when you think about it. And the casinos love it too.
Might be the best thing to happen to Atlantic City in a while.
That's for sure.
Mohan, the batter. He's walked twice, has yet to record an official at-bat. Gloucester Catholic's got 2 runners on. Or no, excuse me, just the 1.
Yeah, he went back to get another bat. We thought it was going to be ball 4.
I apologize.
Yeah. Well, I had to watch that too, so it was a little confusing
because it looked 2 outs, 1 runner on second.
It looked like he was going to throw the bat back and go to first base, but he was replacing it with another bat.
Well, we can't be perfect.
And
so.
There's something that often goes unnoticed. The umpire does a wonderful job there when the catcher got dinged on a pitch, and the umpire goes out, takes his time, cleans off the plate, walks out, talks to the pitcher, turns around to make sure the catcher is okay.
It's absolutely a great part of the game. A lot of umpires do it, and it's a great way to build trust. As that ball is poked, it's not going to get any height on it, and it's foul over towards Ward at first. But, what we're talking about is with these umpires, this new age of umpires, I think the scrutiny is more elevated than ever because we can now see through Major League Baseball's, challenge system, you can see whether a ball was a ball or a strike was a strike by literal fractions of inches. So that only makes it more difficult for umpires at lower levels that don't have that same luxury. Ground ball to third. That throw is high. That airmails Ward. It's going to hop over the fence. It's out of play. Run scores. Mohan to second, and that's going to make it 7-5 as another odd play. Kingsway now with their second throwing error of the inning. That's the 6th error of the game. GC has 4. Kingsway, that was their first and second errors of the game, but it's all come this inning as the third baseman threw it away. Nate Bott scores Pancoast, and now Pezzicola looking, the worst thing that could happen to Kingsway here is to give up all of those runs that they worked so hard to bring back and make it a 1-run game.
True, and I think that's a very, very good point.
So here's Eddie Pinero, the right fielder. That one is up.
The hardest thing sometimes is when the coach yells at the dugout to the pitcher, "Throw strikes," and it's like, I'm not trying not to.
I'm trying to throw strikes, yeah. What do you want me to do?
Amazing.
Well, one thing that I'll say, I said this yesterday on the broadcast, is there was a sign up a couple of years ago in the Washington National Spring Training that said, "I don't care how fast you throw ball 4."
That's a good point.
It's serious because you're talking about these pitchers. They are all seeking to throw faster and harder and harder. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to destroy your arm. Yeah. I'm sorry, but if you're throwing 95 miles an hour as a freshman in high school, you're going to have to get arm surgery. You're going to have to sit out for a year, and it's going to derail your prospects. And maybe it'll make you better. I don't know. But if you have Tommy John surgery once, the chance that you blow out your arm again is not 0.
That's right.
It's certainly elevated. But Kingsway is going to make another pitching change. And that's one thing, is that I would rather see a pitcher throw 85 miles an hour and throw, let's say, 70-80% strikes than I would see a pitcher throw 95 miles an hour and throw 50%.
Well, here's
strikes.
Here's one that you would like, Dan. Josh Schwartz, who played for Gateway High School, started at the University of Maryland, and finished his last 3 years at Rowan, holds the NCAA record for most victories in a row. He won 34 games in that situation, and he never threw faster than 85 miles an hour.
That's great. We're going to take a quick break. Gloucester Catholic back on the board, 7-5, bottom of the fifth. A.J. Amos, the new pitcher for Kingsway, the right-hander, fourth pitcher of the game for the Dragons, dumping a lot of their arms out today. He's had he has had no earned runs in 2 1/3 innings.
And pitched on Monday.
That's right, pitched all those innings versus GCIT, 1 walk, 5 Ks, 1 hit. Last season he only had 41 pitches on Monday, so given 2 days rest, that sounds about right. I think he would have to get over 50 for it to be
I think that's
2 days
100%
rest. So
right.
staying at 41. I mean, 41 pitches in 2 1/3. They're going to say that's ball 4.
You know, this game started and it was rolling like a freight train.
I thought we were going to get out of here pretty quick.
Now it's at a snail's pace.
So Monahan walks. And Pinero will be the batter.
From here, it looks like Eddie Goodell is the batter.
So 2 runners aboard. They're on the corners. And this ball's poked foul over towards Ward, 0-1. Pinero 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts. He's made some good plays in right field. For Amos last season, 18 1/3 innings, 12 hits, 4 walks, 12 Ks, and 2.29 ERA. And again,
Dan, a
pitched on
tough
Monday.
situation for Kingsway because you can't play corners up infield, middle back because you got to run on first base, so you got to hold him on.
Runner thought about going. Catcher provokes him, doesn't go. And it'll be 1-1. So 7-5. We were just talking about, well, not just talking about, but at the beginning of the game we said, you know, we've seen a lot of low-scoring affairs between these two teams, and this is not one of those today. As that one is a called strike, 1-2.
And if you're Kingsway, best friend would be ground ball second, ground ball short. Double play, get out of here, and hope you can do something in the 6th.
If they can score 4 runs in the top of the 5th, doesn't surprise me that they could have potential to do so again.
Well, I think you're right. They're going to take a look at what what they're going to do with Morgan, whether they'll bring him out.
Yeah, we saw that they had a pitcher warming up in the pen. That was number 34, who is on our roster. That is Caleb Lopez, a sophomore. And he had 2 1/3 innings in that tournament in North Carolina.
Talk a little after you're done, please. I know a lot of people.
So this will be number 9 hitter, Santino Servato, who last time got that walk to bring in at that time the second run.
And that's the third time Pinero struck out in this one. Strike one to Pinero with 2 outs and 2 runners on. Mohan on first, and then Pund on third. Fouled by Giovanno. So what I had on my scorecard was right the whole time. Pund did walk, and with that being the second out of the inning, it was a walk to Pancoast, a walk to Pund, and then where Pund had the
he had
error.
that single and then advanced when the
Yeah,
ball
with the
jumped over the
throwaway.
fence.
So that's what I had wrong, because I had Mohan there a batter early, as now he advances to second. So there's a lot of blue scribbling in my
yeah,
my
and that was interesting too, because the runner broke before the pitcher did anything. So all he has to do is step off and turn around and throw.
To Givato, that one's low. 1-2 for Kingsway in the top of the 6th. If those 2 runners are held at second and third, it'll be 9-1-2. Bell, Thorpe, and Taylor, all 3 of them have reached on base, and Bell and Taylor specifically have base hits in the ballgame. Not too often do you see number 9 hitter with a base hit, but that one's high, and it's 2-2. Or I'm sorry, not that number 9 hitter with at the designated hitter, because usually their DH hits a little bit higher, but a little different this time around, hitting Bell in that 9 slot at the DH. 2-2 from Amos. That one's foul.
So in this situation, it's kind of interesting. You have runners on second and third. A walk isn't terrible because it sets up the force at each base. However, the next hitter, Danzy, is the one that clubbed that double down the line and we thought was going to break open the game.
And Noah Danza, one of the top prospects in the class of 26 for New Jersey. That one is inside, and Amos and Chivata are going to work this count full. It was 0-2, and then a handful of foul balls, and a couple of balls later, and it's 3-2. So still anybody's game, but it's 7-5, and there is strike 3. Chivata thought it was outside, but the home plate umpire has the final say. Gloucester Catholic gets 1 run home, and Kingsway will hit in the top of the 6th inning with a score of 7-5 as the Rams get 1 back.
Interesting.
top of the 6th inning. 7-5. Gloucester Catholic leads the Kingsway Dragons here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Fred Swartz of Rowan University. A 2-run ball game. Kingsway scored 4 runs in the top of the 5th inning. Gloucester Catholic responded with 1. So it's now a 2-run game. But so many interesting things happening in this game. First divisional game for Gloucester Catholic. The second divisional game for Kingsway, both on the road. They beat GCIT on the road 6-0 on Monday. And on their opening day, they defeated Jackson Township by a score of 11-5. That one's away. But again, I haven't seen a Kingsway GC game this high scoring in a little while. When we were at Kingsway this time last year, it was April 2nd of last year, actually. Gloucester Catholic won that game 4-0. That one's outside, and it's ball 4 to Braden Bell.
I think the biggest thing, Dan, as you said, is how sloppy the game's been.
Yeah,
and it's
been unusually sloppy.
Unusually sloppy.
And Jude Morgan is still in the game.
Well, I guess they figure let him go to his pitch count.
But again, these two teams do not meet again until May 21st.
A lot can happen.
So many things can happen. Seasons can be derailed in that time with how much time is left. And, you know, obviously the Tri-County Royal has been dominated by Gloucester Catholic for years, but ever since they joined the Royal and left the Classic, which was the best move that they could have made for Gloucester Catholic, because it really wasn't fair to the small schools in the Classic. Even though Gloucester Catholic is a small school by population, that's a lot different than playing small public schools like Pittman, Pennsville, Salem, Wildwood, and starting next year, Salem Tech. So there's a strike called on the inside corner to Braden Thorpe. But
so Dan, here's the interesting point. Normally, baseball, when you're trailing by 2, you want to get a runner in scoring position and bunt. But here's new baseball, and don't give up the out, swing the bat.
See what they can do, see if they can move that runner over. I mean, they had a seeing eye single that got through earlier. They know how to hit. They know how to hit well, but we'll see if they're able to capitalize on it here with the leadoff man. I think their philosophy here is you've got the 9-hitter on first, and they're going to get a ground ball here, and they're going to get exactly what they wanted. Through the 6-5 gap, it's a base hit, and Braden Thorpe gets the runner on. So they could have bunted, or they could have had that. And I think they'll choose the latter that time. 2 runners on.
Made me look dumb, and they looked really good. But now here, I'm going to turn that situation around. Traditional baseball says bunt here. So you get runners on second and third with only 1 out.
Gloucester Catholic's pitching coach is coming out. We will see if this marks the end of the day with Caleb Lopez warming up. Again, I'm surprised that Jude Morgan's been left in the game this long, especially when this game matters leaps and bounds for the division in the Tri-County Royal. It matters. Listen, if both of these teams win all of their other games, if they both sweep Clearview, which is not guaranteed,
right,
but if they both beat GCIT, if they both beat Williamstown, Washington Township, we'll take a look at those standings real quick on the left side of your screen. Kingsway is 2-0, Clearview's 2-0, Washington Township's 1-0, Gloucester Catholic's 3-2, and then GCIT is 1-1. Williamstown is 0-1. Williamstown and Washington Township play each other today. And how about Jude Morgan staying in this game? I have to admit, I'm pretty darn surprised that they are keeping him in this game. Here comes the throw down to second. It hit the runner. It would have. I mean, Danza would have had it, but the throw came in on a hop and it hit the runner Bell at second base.
Dan, I was going to tell you a story. They said one of the nastiest people on the mound was Steve Carlton. And one time, Carlton, for one of the few times, was struggling. And Danny Ozark comes out of the dugout, and he's going to replace Carlton. And Carlton told him, get off the mound, get back in the dugout. I'm finishing the game. And Danny Ozark turned around and went back into the dugout.
You have to have a certain kind of respect in the clubhouse to get away with something like that. See, Andy Pettit did that one time.
Is that right?
When Joe Torre was the manager, it was like I don't even think it was the 9th inning. I think it was the 8th, and it was a 1-run game, and they would have sent it down to Mariano, and he said, "No, I'm finishing this inning." It was either Andy Pettit or or somebody else who was high-powered in that rotation, but it was.
But you figure one time Carlton went 27-10 with a team that finished in last place.
The ball's flied out towards right. No, it's going to be out towards third base. Infield fly. I apologize. I lost track of that baseball entirely, but it goes out to the shortstop, Danza, and the infield fly rule is called. 1 out, 2 on.
Dan, it's very understandable to see because it's like a high sky.
Yeah.
And that ball can get easily. That's why I'm giving the outfielders a lot of credit because that ball can easily be lost.
Shields the batter. Kyle Shields, the left-hander, batting for Kingsway. Got 2 strikeouts. He scored 2 on that odd double error as that goes into left center field. It's going to go to the chest of Pancoast. 1 run is in. Runner holds. RBI single. Kyle Shields. He goes the other way. But Gloucester Catholic looking to keep him at bay. It's now 7-6.
Clutch hitting right there. And it was one of those in-betweeners for the outfielder. It's a very difficult decision whether you dive, and if you dive and you miss the ball, with no fence, that ball could be an inside-the-park home run.
Kyle Shields, a Division II commit to Chestnut Hill, coming up huge in that spot. 1 out, RBI single. Thorpe moved to second. Bell scored from second on the base hit. And it's now Logan Taylor, the second baseman. Nate Bott, the third baseman, who's 0 for 3. 2 strikeouts and a fly out for the future Blue Hen. This one's hit out towards right field. Straight away for Pinero. Runner goes. Here comes the throw. It's on a bounce, and it's not in time. And now the runner goes down to second. Both of them advance. I was not expecting that, as Shields will move up. But Bott with the fly out to right, and that's very valuable here as now it sets up a 2-out opportunity for Schmidt.
Yeah, that was great base running. What he did is he went his halfway because he knew the ball, if the ball was caught. When the throw went to third, then he knew he could make it down into second base. That was very, very good base running by Kingsway.
That ball is up and away. 1-0 to the left-hander Schmidt, who only he does have a sacrifice fly in the game to give him credit. He's got a walk, a sac fly, and a ground out to second. So he's had a little bit of everything tonight. He's going to try to get his first base hit, which would tie the game at 7 if it gets down.
And could even
give him the lead.
Yes.
That would be a roller coaster here in the 6th. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ball's flied out towards left. It'll be foul, and it's 1-2. This pitch means dividends for Gloucester Catholic. Jude Morgan has had the longest of long leashes in this game. He's in the 6th inning. He's given up 6 runs. To be fair, a majority of them are unearned. But we got to see how this matters for the Dragons in this prime scenario, as that one's up and away, 2-2. Gloucester Catholic will bat 1, 2, and 3 in the bottom half of the 6th. Danza, Bogart, and Lipoff, and that could be the biggest relief for Gloucester Catholic if they can bat their marquee hitters, their Division I Power 5 guys, and get a couple of big swings to give them some insurance. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That one's high, and they're no longer throwing Lopez in the bullpen. He walked down with the runner, with the backup catcher. He walked with him back to the dugout a few minutes ago. So he's definitely waiting in the wings. But if anything, this is more like a DMV wait for how long he's waiting to get into this game. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runners on second and third. Shields on second, Thorpe on third. Schmidt looking to be the hero. Well, one of the heroes in this game. The 3-2 is a swing and a miss. Morgan looks down the Kingsway dugout and then looks back towards his own as another run comes back in, but Kingsway makes it a one-run game. Unfortunately for them, they leave 2 runners in scoring position. If Gloucester Catholic doesn't get 2 runs home, gets 2 runs or less home, it'll be a safe situation going into the 7th, setting up a fun finish. We'll be right back. Gloucester Catholic 7, Kingsway 6. Amos, the pitcher. Noah Danza, the Mississippi State commit, leads us off. One of the top players in the class of 2026. 1, 2, and 3. Danza, Bogart, and Lipoff.
And Danza's really impressed me. He's very, very disciplined at the plate. He has good swings, and he's a tough out, let me tell you.
Incredibly and increasingly tough as well, as he gets drilled right in the back. Looked like the lower part of his back near his belt, and he'll get on with a hit-by pitch to lead off the bottom of the 6th inning.
And very good job by the home plate umpire. He knew that the batter was not happy that he got hit. He stepped right in front of the plate to make sure nothing took place. So kudos to our home plate umpire on that.
Yeah, I don't think anything would have happened anyway because it's a one-run game. You don't want to jeopardize anything. And I think Dan's also knows, listen, you're a high-level recruit. You got to look good for the coaches. You got to look good for even though you're committed, you still have to play your senior season with a lot of grace and a lot of, what's the word? Humility. Because
we played Kane one time. Brian Kulik, who's now the Rutgers Camden coach, was our pitching coach.
Yes.
Kid from Kane hit about a 450-foot home run, flung the bat, and celebrated all around the bases.
Here comes the throw down to second, not in time. Danza slides in safely with the stolen bag.
So you can almost figure out what's going to happen the next time he gets up.
He's going to get hit.
He's going to get plunked. So he gets plunked, and he loses his cool and charges the mound, and that was crazy.
All heck breaks loose.
Yeah, that's what it is. And Brian Kulak yells from the dugout, "What did you expect?"
Yeah. You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Danza was shaking his right hand when he got up from the base, so I think that he might have gotten hit on the hand. That is a fair ball.
Yeah, right on the line.
Chalk came up. That ball's going to die in right field, and Danza's going to come home. They're going to throw to second, not in time. It's an RBI. I don't know what you want to call that, but it's an RBI for Jason Bogart, and it's now 8-6 as Danza comes around to score. And how about that? It's some very nice hitting. You literally saw the chalk puff up off the grass, off the dirt, and Danza comes around from second to score.
And Dan, you say baseball's a game of inches. We just saw it.
Mhm.
1 inch to the right, and it's a foul ball. So that's what makes this game so exciting.
Braden Lipoff, the batter, East Carolina commit. He's 1 for 3 today. Had the opening RBI in the bottom of the first inning. Had the RBI knock. As that ball gets away, Bogart, uncontested, stands up to third base.
I think Kingsway now has to put their infield up.
I think they will. At least second base is. And, yeah, they're going to move everybody up. And now one of Kingsway's assistants will come out to slow things down a little bit. Yeah, you were saying this game was moving along, right? Yesterday, funny enough, we had our shortest high school baseball game ever by length, 1 hour, 30 minutes.
That's
now,
incredible.
to be fair, it was a 5-inning mercy rule. But even 5-inning mercy rules usually don't go that quickly because they're usually just slow and it's a burnout that you know is gonna end. But the thing is about Clearview, though, they had 4 runs in the second inning and they were all quick, just super, quick pitch hitting. I don't know why I know this off the top of my head, but the fastest 7-inning game that we've had was Buna and Absegami last year. It was 1 hour and 43 minutes in 7 innings. And David Cohen and I, my co-host on the South Jersey Starting 9 podcast, we were kind of sitting there like, well, it's 4:45 and it's the top of the 5th inning. So how is this happening? That ball gets away. Back-to-back balls to the backstop, but this time the runner holds.
Yeah, you might remember the name because he played for Triton High School, but Rowan had a pitcher named Mike Shannon. His father was Bobby Shannon, who played at Gloucester Catholic. And he was a fast pitcher. The pitcher of the other team was a fast pitcher. He played a 9-inning game in 1 hour and 42 minutes.
Whew. That's another one back to the backstop.
But we've also played games that have taken 4 hours.
Oh, yeah. I've had a couple RCSJ games that have gotten up near that length. Actually, just last week, Lackawanna? No, it might have been the Hartford game that went 4 hours and 11 minutes or something like that. And there's no, as far as I'm concerned, no pitch clock in JUCO, so they just kind of hammer it home. That's a fair ball, left field line. That's going to go past the left fielder. That one lasered past him. This one's over towards the left field line. Lipoff parks it at second, RBI double, and there's that insurance run that you've been looking for. It's 9-6 Gloucester Catholic.
Yeah, doing exactly, we all commonly say that baseball, sports do not build character, it reveals it. And we're seeing that in both teams today because both teams have fought back in their when they got down, they've overcome the adversity, and now Kingsway, the road got tougher.
Well, one thing that I'll say is that it was 1-0 in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
A long time ago.
And then 1 run came home for Kingsway, and the floodgates opened from there. 5 in the bottom of the 4th, 4 in the top of the 5th. And then 1 more for GC in the bottom of the 5th inning. And then Kingsway came back with 1 more. So every inning, every half inning in the 4th, 5th, and 6th has had a run come home. It's been very surprising. Because, again, the last time we saw these two was 1-0. Bottom of the 7th. Took a walk-off single. It was one of those something's got to give games.
I was here.
That one's inside. But it ends up being everything's going to give kind of game. I think Kingsway as well, one of their big losses from last year was their pitching. They do not have as much pitching as they did last year. I mean, they still retained a handful of guys like Manjafesta, who we saw on the hill today. And you still have a couple guys like Art Richardson, which I think is pretty good. We saw Mike Pezzicola, Colton O'Connell as well. But last year, their big guys were Ryan Golan and pardon, the name was slipping me for a sec. Nate Ford was another one. Those were their 2 pitchers that they lost. But Kingsway was a more offense-heavy team anyway last year. I mean, they had a 3.04 batting average and a 2.47 ERA on the hill. But they also brought out a lot of different pitchers. They had 13 different guys take the hill in last year's contests. So there really wasn't anybody who dominated. Killian McCaffrey, that was the name I was thinking of. He graduated last year, had 38 innings. Dylan Patero was another senior last year, had 31. So everybody besides Kevin Magsom, who threw over 30 innings, that's a fair ball. Down the third base line, kind of a swinging bunt, and he's safe. How about that? That was like a It wasn't a full bunt, but it was like a half swing, and Morgan's got a base hit. 2 on. But as we were saying, everybody except Kevin Magsom, who had 30-plus innings for Kingsway last year, graduated.
And that makes a big difference. It absolutely makes a difference. Now, they have a transfer coming in. I'm sure he has to probably sit, too.
Tyler Rogers.
Yeah, that sat for played for Paul VI last year, who's going to Charleston Southern.
We talked about that South Jersey connection, too. Even though Brett Young isn't there anymore, they still recruit pretty heavily in South Jersey.
Brett Young also spent a year coaching at Rowan University.
There you go. How long has Mike Dixon been the head coach there?
Let's see. Won the national championship in 2014. He then coached 2016 is when he started.
Okay, so he didn't win that national championship in 2014 then?
He did.
Oh.
He won the national championship for Gloucester. He won 2.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about for Rowan University.
No. For Mike Dixon started in 2005 and went through 2015 or something. He won the national championship in 2010 and 2013. And that 2013 team was probably the best junior college team I've ever seen. Every player went Division II or higher. One was signed by the Cincinnati Reds. That was Narciso Crook. He went to he played with the Cubs in the major leagues, and he also played for the Red Sox until he ran out of options.
Yeah.
And so,
was that the team that Ryan Buchter was on?
Ryan Buchter played back in 2005.
Oh, I thought he was younger than that.
And Ryan Buchter was very interesting because he very rarely played at Gloucester, and he played as an outfielder.
Huh. So, and he ends up being a major league relief pitcher.
Major league relief pitcher and a pitching coach. But what it was is back then he couldn't throw strikes. His ball moved so much that he was walking almost every batter that he faced. But I can remember sitting there and with the scout from the Washington Nationals, and they said, this guy's going to be a pitcher. They were right.
You guys missed an out.
That one is away. Amos dealing with 2 runners on here.
2 out.
Ground ball, third base side. He'll tag the runner. And they'll throw over to first for the double play. And that's out number 2. So a 5-3 double play for outs number 1 and 2. And Kingsway will now have to face Jack Pund here. That was a very good play by the third baseman, Nate Bott.
Good baseball sense. Tagged the runner, and the runner did the right thing. The runner stopped, even though it was going to be a force out because he made the third baseman come to him. He did a really good job, and I'll tell you, kudos to the third baseman. That was a great play.
And being able to make that throw as well.
Yeah, a good arm. Very good arm.
Oh, pitcher came in for Kingsway from the bullpen, and then they called him off. So he had to kind of make a hop, skip, and a jump, turn around, and they are going to keep A.J. Amos in the game.
And it's not an issue as long as you don't tell the umpire you made a change. So.
Exactly. As long as he doesn't write that down, put pen to paper, then you're fine.
The other one that's always interesting one time is when you're going to pinch hit,
right?
And they're going to change the pitcher. You don't have the report the pinch hitter until you see what they're going to do on pitching changes or not pitching changes. Juan Renero taught me that one. He said, don't cross the line. Don't tell the umpire anything until you see what they're going to do as a pitcher.
Well, the batter will be Jack Pund. First base coach for Gloucester Catholic went into the outfield to pick up a water bottle and throw it over the fence. Got to keep the town clean. That ball's roped. Left field. And it's off the trees. It's foul. Hard to decipher from that angle for sure, but.
So you were saying before, Pund's a very, very good athlete.
Also basketball player for Gloucester Catholic.
He was a very good basketball player for them. You said he's had injuries over the last few years?
I don't know if I said that for sure.
Okay.
I just know that he's been a very I wouldn't say the most prolific. I mean, he's just an effective scorer for GC.
Right.
But that's the one thing is that, if you're a Gloucester Catholic product, I've been in that high school. I've been through talking with Ryan Murphy and Mark Hutchinson, the athletic directors there, that it is a small school by numbers, but they've got very good athletic programs as a parochial school, and that one's going to get away. Runner will get to third in Morgan.
Yeah, you said it before. Good programs attract good players.
Right.
When you're in a non-public situation like this, it doesn't matter where the person lives. So they can now, with the new transfer rule, you can go from X to Y as long as you're not going into your senior year.
Right. I have seen prep academies that are much larger than Gloucester Catholic. I mean, the physical building itself in Gloucester City is pretty small. That's a hit by pitch. Pund will reach. That's his second hit by pitch of the game.
Okay, hopefully my last story, but you'll like this one.
Hey, listen, I
was AD at Audubon.
I enjoy the stories.
Jerry Scharf was the AD at Gloucester Catholic. I come in, the baseball team's down in Myrtle Beach. I come in, and there's a father and his son there, and he's unhappy that he's not getting enough pitching time at Gloucester Catholic. And he says, what does it take for me to go to Audubon? I said, well, you got to either live at Audubon, Mount Ephraim, or Audubon Park.
Right.
So whole situation comes through. Trade goes through. I call Jerry. I tell him, this is what's up. This kid's coming. Braun was his name. He's coming to Audubon, and this is the deal. We didn't start it. He came to us. So I said, I'll tell you what. We got him. You get a player to be named later. So about probably 3 years later, his sister comes up, and she's a very good softball player, but we were stacked in softball. And she transferred from Audubon to Gloucester Catholic. And I called Jerry Scharf on the phone, and I said, Jerry,
that's your player to
be named later.
Oh, that's great. We will stay here through the pitching change for Kingsway as the new pitcher for the Dragons is number 18, Liam McClory, junior right-hander. This is his first varsity appearance. Does not have any prior stats with the Kingsway Dragons from this year or last season. He's a junior, 5'11", as we said, 6'1", 155. It'll be his first appearance, and Kingsway a little bit exasperated for arms here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. As we said, 2 runners on for GC. They've already brought home 2 runs in this inning. They got the insurance that they needed to keep fending off Kingsway. Now we're going to have to see if they can put pen to paper and put some more on the board here with 2 away and 2 on. But McClory, his first batter, will be Mohan after Pund was hit by the pitch. Mohan still does not have an at-bat in this game.
How about that?
3 walks. Now, before we go to the top of the 7th and before this game gets a little bit too close for comfort, can you tell me about the Glassboro Summit between President Johnson?
I was there.
I knew you were there because you were interviewed by Rowan University for it.
Exactly.
And that's one of the videos I watched when I was researching to learn more about you.
We're sitting in up in Ballard Park in Pittman, having a good time, and all of a sudden we hear about this. So we race down to Whitney Avenue, and we're
and for context, folks, this is President Lyndon Johnson, 1967.
And Kosygin. And the bottom line came down is we got on TV. So we said we're going the next day. We're not going to worry about seeing Lyndon Johnson or Kosygin. We're going down there to see all the beautiful girls that come down and go in there. So the deal is we ended up going there. It was something to be remembered that you were there in that whole situation. But I was on Whitney Avenue both days, and I talked to the Wit. I guess it was the Wit or Rowan Radio.
I think the Wit was still around back then, right?
Yeah, the Rowan Radio did a thing for me a few years ago where we talked about how everything got done. That was a fun time.
Yeah, they did interviews, I think, something like 15 years ago, and you were one of the people interviewed. Because I don't know, are you still an adjunct prof at Rowan, or have you officially retired?
Officially retired from that. Stopped doing that in 2017 because I just upped my commitment of how many sports and stuff I was doing at Rowan. So right now I'm doing football, field hockey, both soccers, volleyball.
There's a ground ball, couldn't get it scooped at third. That gets away from Bott. The run will score, and Mohan gets a board. I don't know what we want to score that. I think that was an error. But
I think
it looked like it should have been scooped, and it just popped out of his glove. So I think I'm going to score that in E5. And it will bring home the runner Morgan. It'll move Pund over to third, and it's now going to make it 10-6, Gloucester Catholic.
And that's really making it difficult for Kingsway.
Yeah, especially with all the work that they've had to get back into this game. Down by 5 in the down by 5 in the top of the fifth inning. That 4-run bout that they had to get back into the game, that was not for nothing until Gloucester Catholic ended up getting it back, and they're just going to run on them now. So Mohan will steal second. There'll be runners on second and third. The batter is Pinero. 10-6 GC. 3 runs across. They scored 1 run in the bottom of the fifth, and they have now, 1 run in the bottom of the first, and they have now scored in every inning from the fourth, fifth, and sixth. As that one's inside, we talked about this game being extremely quick to start, and it has now gone to a grinding halt, 6:30 p.m. It's been 2.5 hours.
And we're not to the 7th inning yet.
We don't know what's going to happen there. We only got about an hour of sunlight left. It's still early April. If this game was mid-May, like it will be when these two teams play next, they're going to have much longer evenings to play. But we'll just have to see. Our first night game is around the corner next week. We'll have a 7 o'clock first pitch at Owens Park for Glassboro and Williamstown on Friday the 10th. That'll be a part of a doubleheader Friday morning because, of course, it's Easter break. It'll be 10 a.m. breakfast and baseball with Maple Shade and Palmyra. And then, as we said, Glassboro and Williamstown, 7 o'clock on the 10th. This one's outside, 3-1 to Pinero. Pinero, the only batter for Gloucester Catholic to have not reached base today. He's had 3 strikeouts, all swinging. And one was in the second, one was in the fourth, and one was in the fifth. 3-1. This ball's put in play out towards right center, going in and making the catch. Nice play to deflect it out in center field. Bringing that one in to retire the side will be Kingsway's Christian Finelli. Going to the top of the 7th. Last swings for Kingsway if they can't hold off this Graham's pitching squad. And it looks like Caleb Lopez, the sophomore, will be on to close it out. However, he will not have a save situation. It's 10-6. Top of the 7th inning, Caleb Lopez is the new pitcher for Gloucester Catholic.
And Dan, I never thought we could run into a situation where it might get dark.
Not today, at least. Other days we've thought about it, but Lopez, first-year product of GC, 2 1/3 innings, back on March the 26th versus Wakefield, North Carolina. No earned runs as this ball's flied out towards shallow center. Danza going out. Pankos comes in and he's got it, 1 away. So Kingsway loses today. They'll fall to 2-1. We mentioned that their next game, they will be right on the, well, not right on the turnaround. They've got the weekend off, and then they play Triton on Tuesday the 7th. Then after that, 3 straight home games for them. Clearview on the 9th, Cumberland on the 10th, and then Delsey on Saturday the 11th. The next time we, Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, will see the Dragons will be in non-conference play on Monday the 20th versus Rancocas Valley. Here's a nice play. He got him.
Boy, that was
Ooh,
big
and he's coming
time.
up limping on that play.
That was big-time play by the third baseman, that's for sure.
That was a huge play for out number 2 as A.J. Ward down on that very close throw, and very quickly we've got 2 outs. Caleb Lopez looking for, well, it wouldn't be a save situation. It would be if Gloucester Catholic didn't have all those runs, but they were warming him up, and he would have been in for the save, but you know, they don't really track saves or wins or losses as much in high school ball. So,
Yeah, what do they call it now? A hold?
well, a hold would be if you are that wouldn't apply if you're finishing the game.
Okay.
That would be like if a pitcher enters the 8th inning in a 1-run game and holds the lead. Strike called. 2-1. For Gloucester Catholic, a win would bring them to 4-2 on the young season. They play Jackson Township on Saturday and then St. Augustine on Wednesday. This one's flared out towards the first base line, and it's out of play. Lopez 1 strike away, but a strong offensive performance by both teams. Can't imagine these 2 clubs are going to be happy about their defense. 6 combined errors, 2 by Kingsway, 4 by Gloucester Catholic. That is going to be a sticking point as they go into Jackson Township on Saturday. Lopez ready, dugout clapping, 2-2 upstairs.
And Dan, that's what you want actually as a coach, to win the game and have something that you can remind the players that they didn't do well.
Right.
So.
Always leave something
Yeah.
that you can improve on.
Yeah, that's right.
3-2. Flared, Bogart, not going to, or rather, Danza will have a play, and the ball game is over. Gloucester Catholic, a back-and-forth affair, but one that Kingsway never led. And it's a 10-6 final as Gloucester Catholic wins their first Tri-County Royal game of the year, and it comes in an affair that was low scoring for the first half and very high scoring for innings 5, 6, and 7. As Kingsway held off the board with a clean 7th. A ground ball to short ended it, and Caleb Lopez gets 3 outs in a row to end it. That was just a great game overall, but Gloucester Catholic, they definitely had some points where they didn't look their best today.
Absolutely correct, but a win is a win is a win. And at the end of the day, you don't want that L after your name, you want that W, and that's what happened today.
That is exactly what happened, and I think my player of the game, I honestly wouldn't give it to Jude Morgan. I would give it most likely maybe Noah Danza for the 2 RBIs that he had. I mean, that 2-run double in the 4th did give Gloucester Catholic the lead that they would not surrender. Kingsway made it close, but they never surrendered the lead. That 2-run double really helped, but I'm also hesitant because that was his only hit of the game. Maybe Jason Bogart. He had 3 RBIs, 3 singles. I think he kind of went as an unsung hero. Yep. But the thing is, though, everybody on Gloucester Catholic did well. Noah Danza had 2 RBIs. Bogart had 3. Lipoff had 2. And everybody did a little bit of something. Morgan had his contributions on the hill. Pancoast had a nice couple of defensive plays in center field. Just going down the lineup, Pund took a couple for the team. He was hit a few times. Monahan had an RBI. Pinero was the only guy who didn't have a hit, didn't get on base. And then Chivato, the number 9 hitter, he had a walk that came in and scored a run. So for Gloucester Catholic, they'll have to be happy about something because the team did their job. Everybody did what they were supposed to do, and it was a team effort that got them the win today.
And I think you also look at, if you're Kingsway, you take a look at the fact is they didn't get down when they got down.
Right.
They fought back. They made it close. They just couldn't get the outs when they needed them.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that hurt them dearly in this game. I mean, you look at the box score that they had. You said six runs on 7 hits and 2 errors in the field. Meanwhile, Gloucester Catholic, for a large point of the game, had more runs than they had hits, and they had 4 errors in the field. So both of these teams, they're going to go in different directions after today, but they're going to meet on May 21st in Woolwich Township, and when DWB sees them again, it is going to be a very, very interesting matchup, just as it was last year and as it was the year before that.
And if you're a Gloucester County person, a Gloucester Catholic person, here's what you look at. Good teams find ways to win in any situation. And today, they were faced with a couple times where they could have folded. And every time they came back and they scored more runs, and finally the breaking point was the bottom of the 6th inning when they scored the runs, and Kingsway just, they didn't give up, but it just, the task was just too great.
Didn't help that the bottom of the order was the one that had to come up and face the right-hander, the unseen Caleb Lopez, in his first sophomore appearance, at least back home stateside, after his appearance versus North Carolina's Wakefield. That'll be all for us tonight on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. Our next broadcast will be tomorrow from Joseph Servino Field in Haddon Heights. As in non-league play, we get to see our first Woody Ball of the year as Woodstown visits Haddon Heights. From our entire crew, our social media coordinator Haley Mejia, our graphics crew Caleb Lane, Carson Rosso, and Fisher Giannotti, my producer Javier Harris of Connecticut School of Broadcasting, my wonderful color commentator Fred Swartz. Thank you so much. Yes, we had a lot of fun today, and we'll be back around next Tuesday for Overbrook and Pennsville. Bit of a smaller game, but should still be fun nonetheless. I'm Dan Wilkins. We'll see you tomorrow from Haddon Heights as the final score tonight. Gloucester Catholic 10, Kingsway 6. Have a good one, folks.
Great job.